Welcome to Mainstream with Harpreet Singh Toor. आप सबनों प्यार भरी सत श्री अकाल, नमस्कार, आदाब and shalom. Please make sure you stay in touch. Email me at hstoor@gmail.com, or you can always send an email at info@justbroadcasting.com about what you want to discuss, what you want to know, and because we are going through that time of the period in history where every minute, not every hour, not every day, but every minute there is something happening somewhere, and those things which are happening, they are actually changing. Those things are making big impact on individual lives, and people are genuinely scared about some of the things which are happening, and they are concerned about their kids and their futures, which are understandable. It's something which we all parents do. It's not unique to a one or two parents. Every parent has these dreams about their kids, what and how, who they should be, and if they are moving to that direction, what needs to be done, and how to protect them, and how to protect, make them a better person. So when we see all these things, and especially in these days when we have all these wars going around in the world, and on top of that we have an administration within the United States where everybody is so much loyalist to the Trump, the current president, that they are flouting all the laws and rules and regulations, and the decorum is not there anymore. When there were hearings in the House or in the Senate, the people appointed to various positions by the sitting president, they will always be respectful to the senators and the elected congresspersons. But now they are combative, and they don't want to answer the questions because they are told not to answer any question. We are going to go through all that. But there are a few things before that which I want to discuss and talk about. Number one, first of all, I do mention time and again, and I'm going to repeat it again, that I do get my information from various sources. I put it together so that I can make it a bit concise, so that I can fit this whole thing into one show and bring it to you. And to do that, the newspapers and magazines, I have Wall Street Journal, New York Times, Daily News, New York Newsday, sometime New York Post, Washington Post, LA Times, Atlantic magazine, Foreign Affairs, Foreign Policy, Tribune, Indian Express, The Guardian, BBC, Telegraph, etc., 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 National. So these are all news outlets, and I look at them, and whatever is interested in them, I pick it up. Vanity Fair is another one. So Time magazine, yes. So these are the sources which I use to bring the information to you. And then I add my opinion to it. And of course, as you probably have seen so far, that I'm one of the person who actually propagates the freedom of speech all time, every time. And I also propagate that there should be a respect of the person. You can agree with the person, you can disagree with the person, but at no point you should be disrespectful to the person. He or she has their opinion, you have your opinion based on where you got your information from. They got wherever they got from. But just to assume that he's just not capable or a lesser person than you, that should not be there in your mind at all. Number one. Number two, uh, religiously, doesn't matter which religion the person believes in, that should not be a factor either. Because, and I'm repeating myself here again, none of the religion teaches violence, but the maximum violence always took place in the name of religion. And I was having a conversation with a very close friend of mine about, and he started conversation about, the current situation in the United States, of course, President Trump, and relationship with Canada, because he happens to come and visit Canada. And, Harpreet being Harpreet, I said, we are going through that time in of the last 100 years where upheavals happen, and we're going through that upheaval right now. And we have Trump here, we have Putin in Russia, we have Xi in China, and we have Modi in India. We have MAGA worshippers here, and we have RSS worshippers in India. And he did not like that part, that RSS worshippers, because he was like, RSS is like from the name, it is Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. It's a voluntary organization. And honestly, I haven't seen them doing any volunteer work except trying to make Hindu religion more fanatic than what it already was, if it was. We had the caste system, but even though we had the caste system, but still we had that respect. There were lines which nobody would cross, whether you are from the upper caste or the lower caste, doesn't matter where you were. There were some mutually understandable lines which nobody would cross, but it's not there anymore. Number two, to make India, like in the United States, there is now another movement going on to make it a Christian republic. Same way in India, it has been a dream of RSS to make India a Hindu Rashtra. With Prime Minister Modi's election, they have started moving into that direction. Last election to the Lok Sabha, thanks to that election, that Modi did not get, the BJP did not get the 100% majority to create the government on their own. Otherwise, I don't know. I don't have any, that fortune telling glass in front of me where I can just look and predict something. But the way things were happening, they are still happening. They are not. They literally are not good for the India in the long run. Muslims constitute about 12% to 13% of Indian population, and they have been totally marginalized. Whatever they do in some states, they are openly resisted. The cops beat them up. And if somebody actually writes about it, then there are new laws. And one of the law is, sedition law. Even the Indian Supreme Court ruled against using sedition law. They amended the law. They make a new law. Under this new law, I think it is to prevent terrorist activity, something based on that. And NSA, National Security Act. There are people behind the bars for a couple of years, and they haven't seen, the freedom. Why? Because there is no hearing on that. Once you are arrested, the courts are so slow, and by the time your case comes up for hearing, either you are already dead or about to die, and everything. So again, we are as a world marching into that direction, which does not look good at present. Let us take a break. After the break, I will be right back. Welcome back to Mainstream with Harpreet Singh once again. And yes, we are in the first week of October, but let's not forget September 1965, we had a a war between India and Pakistan, and we definitely need to talk about it because being a Punjabi from Punjab, I understand, I know, and I have seen it. I have lived it. My dad was in army, so for me, it is something very near and dear, and of course, need to discuss so that the people who live in rest of India who haven't seen anything like that, and they are talking about the divisions based on the religion, they have no idea how these soldiers on the front line, even though they were fighting against Pakistan, but those soldiers who were fighting, they were Hindus, they were Muslims, those were Sikhs, those were Jainis, those were Buddhists, those were Gurkhas, you name it. And that's why when all these divisions are being created based on just because which religion you follow, it doesn't look good for the future of India. The 1965 war actually, I'm going to discuss a little bit timeline. I printed it today before I came for the show. In April 1965, Ran of Kutch, which is in Gujarat state, which is actually, right next to the Arabian Sea between India and Pakistan, where Gujarat and part of Pakistan, Sindh province, they meet and they go into ocean, Sindh and Gujarat. And that's where the initial skirmishes started. And in 1965 August, Operation Gibraltar, that was a large-scale infiltration into Jammu and Kashmir of the Indian-held part of Jammu and Kashmir. They came in with the intent that they will, start an uprising within the state, and that actually will make their life easy. But in September 1965, around first week, I think either 3rd or 4th of September, the Indian Army actually crossed the international border near Lahore and Sialkot. Okay. Let's look back certain facts of 1965 war. Pakistan's economy was much stronger than Indian economy at that time. Pakistan had Patton tanks, which was a new armory for from the United States, and India had Centurion, which were British tanks, and those were old tanks. Also, there were understandings that Pakistan army will do better against Indian army, and Indian army, they had this tacit understanding that if they have to fall back, they should fall back first to Ludhiana, where Satluj is, first Beas, then Ludhiana, Satluj, and then if they have to go further back, then Ambala, and that should be the line which should be held at any cost. Now, the CNC, commanding in charge of Western Command at that time, was General Harbaksh Singh. And Western Command at that time was all the way from Jammu and Kashmir all the way down to Gujarat also. So I think at present there are about 3 different there is a northern command, then there is a western command, and there is a, you know, um, southwestern command, southern command on that side of the border. So he literally got, the officers, some of the officers, he deployed the Sikh officers into the regiments. And he said that the Sikh officers, because they come from Punjab, they would understand more the topography of the area, the nature of the people, the understanding of the land where the tanks and the armored units are going to move, and infantry and everything. So, and he was the one who decided that, that we're not going to let Amritsar fall, period. No ifs and buts. And Chicken Neck area, which actually is the area the people even probably haven't heard the name. It is when you go from Punjab to Jammu and Kashmir, there is a small area where the Pakistan border is not that far off from the mountains after you pass through Pathankot before you go into Jammu. And that area is called like Chicken Neck. The reason why it is called Chicken Neck is because it is exactly, that's what it is, like the neck of the chicken. You have Jammu and Kashmir on the top, and you have rest of India on the bottom, and that's the area real like that. And there were very heavy casualties there, and my dad happened to be in that area at that time. Even though he never talked about the war with me, I tried to talk, but he won't. So the reason I'm explaining you is that you need to understand the circumstances, you need to understand what was happening on the ground at that time. Even though India did win the war in 1965, but it was at a very heavy cost, army as well as otherwise, and there could be permutation combinations where they can say that okay, because in 1962 India had a war with China. China could have attacked on the north, and Pakistan then could have walked in. Pakistan assumed China will help or whatever. We don't know. Probably down the road in 100 years after today, when the history will be printed, revised, and those troves of documents will come out, then we would know what happened, which we will not have the prerogative to know because we will be gone. Anyway, so the end result was that India won that 1965 war, and Lal Bahadur Shastri was the Prime Minister of India, and there was on September 22, a resolution by United Nations Security Council was passed, the resolution number 211, which was accepted by both India and Pakistan for the ceasefire. And on January 10 in 1966, in Tashkent, the the agreement was signed between India and Pakistan, and Lal Bahadur Shastri actually was the Prime Minister of India at that time. And after that, he died from a heart attack, and his body actually came home from Tashkent after the signing on the agreement. There are a lot of, what do you call, permutation and combinations being made about how he had the heart attack, what was happening, or was it really a heart attack, or da. But the facts are that after that, he died, and Mrs. Indira Gandhi became the Prime Minister of India around that time. So now, I think there was another gentleman, Kamraj from Madras, who played a major role at that point in the Indian National Congress around that time. Barua was another one, and I think V.V. Giri. There were all these people who actually had played role into the freedom of India. and they were then part of the Indian National Congress, and they actually held those senior positions, and they played their own roles. But anyway, to finish the conversation on this 1965 war, if we go into details, it's going to be too long. So, but I just wanted to share with you that this was a 1965 war, which was the first major war between India and Pakistan. And after that, the 1971, when Bangladesh was created, but that we will talk in December when that war happened. So let us take a break. After the break, I will be right back. Welcome back to Mainstream with Harpreet Singh Toor. Once again, as we talk internationally, there are things to be discussed before we talk about U.S., what is happening in the United States, and be ready for that part of the conversation when I say it. Trump proposed a 20-point Gaza plan. That plan actually, it was, I got it from Substack, which is an online newspaper where they give you the news. And in that 20-point, the Trump actually is taking the initiative to stop this genocide in Gaza and Israel. And the couple of things, if you really look at it, it's exactly what Bibi Netanyahu wanted. But still, there was something which Bibi was like, he never wanted to leave Gaza. Maybe he wanted to, like he was planning to annex West Bank. He was planning to annex Gaza also, and make Israel, like they say, river to sea. I think it is a Palestinian slogan, but Benjamin wanted to make it a river to sea as a Jewish state. But a couple of things which in that, while I'm talking, I'm also looking at some of the things here. Trump appointed his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and Steve Witkoff as special envoy, who actually right now, while we are talking, they are in Egypt negotiating this ceasefire with Israel and Hamas. And both sides are not meeting face to face yet, but they are in there and they are talking. And I think one of the things which, everybody's talking about, that how Netanyahu, when he attacked Qatar to kill some of the Hamas leaders, that was one too much. Because, remember Qatar was the first one to give this big 747 to Donald Trump as a gift. So Trump has this, that's his character, that he needs people to massage him, make him look bigger than what he is, and massage his ego and everything. And Qatar happens to be one of them in the very beginning, and he developed some sort of affinity with them. And whatever happened backdoors, what is happening more than that, I don't know, and I will not speculate on that either. But there was one thing, that after Netanyahu attacked the building where Hamas negotiators were supposed to meet, even though those leaders did not die there, but that is something which gave an opening for the Trump administration. And I also was reading about it, that even Trump, when Netanyahu came to Washington, D.C., which actually he was summoned. He did not come to Washington, D.C. his last visit because he wanted to come, but he was made to come because of that attack on Qatar. And that's where this 20-point plan was announced from the White House lawn. And Netanyahu was not open to accept it. And that's where the Trump used the F word, that why you are so F negative. And we will see what happens. But right now, another thing which then, those people who are actually at either at the White House or in Washington, D.C., the press reporters, they are actually, like those rats smelling where the food is and getting the food. These press reporters, they know how to get the report, and they also mentioned that Trump, because he doesn't like to hear no, so he is being told only yes, even though the negotiators and they are negotiating, there are no's and yeses. But Trump is not hearing any no from whatever the no came from one side or the other. So there is a hope that there will be, at least a ceasefire in Gaza, where even though officially they are saying about 60 plus thousand people have died, but only after the ceasefire, when the actual count is taken and everybody is counted for, only then we would know how many people died. And remember, when the government says, whatever number government says people died, it's always double to triple of that number who actually either get hurt or die. And like I talked last time, that how Israel is intent on letting not the media know about what is happening in Gaza, and they target the journalists out there, even though they have all these vests which says press. But they actually these days they are more open target than anybody else, because they have this vest on them. And since Bibi said that we do not guarantee the safety of the press reporters, all the major media news outlets, they have told their journalists who are working on the ground to vacate Gaza, and they have. And they are not there, but it is independent journalists who are actually reporting, and they put their lives online. And that is where, when I talk about freedom of speech and freedom of thoughts, that's where the freedom of press is so important. That freedom is not happening. It's not here in the United States anymore, to be honest, and it is not in India. It was never there in India, but it was not this much. How should I put it down? It was not this much cut off. When you put on the TV channels in India now, they are just either they are yelling at each other, or they are just singing the praise of one person or one party. And when the other person from the other party wants to talk about it, he is shouted at, he is yelled at, and end of story. So let us hope that something will come out of this 20-point conversation. But yeah, there is one thing which they have talked, that there is going to be a gradual withdrawal from the Gaza. One of the thing is, within 72 hours of an agreement, the plan says Hamas must release all Israeli captives held in Gaza. Okay, there are supposed to be about 20 living and 28 deceased. In return, Israel would subsequently release 250 Palestinians sentenced for life, with the 1,700 Palestinians from Gaza. And, those are all numbers, okay, which they're talking about. And always remember that when these negotiations happen, these are still negotiations till they reach an agreement. And till that agreement is reached, there are other players who are going to play their role to not to let these agreements reach to the fruition. Remember, Yasin submitted a statement in the court in India, where he mentioned that how JKLF had, sworn to stop armed resistance years ago. And one government after another, they were negotiating with them constantly, but not coming to a conclusion. Why? Because there were people who were not interested in having that conclusion. And those people could be the defense government's unit of the army. In the United States, a lot of people, they are like, because the def- the Department of Defense, which is now being, named as Department of War, um, they actually have the biggest budget, and that budget actually, is controlled by uh, distributing the booty to different congressional and senators within their area, within their states, and they control it. And sometime even the law is, the agreement is about to be achieved, they can sabotage it. So let's take a break. After the break, I will be right back. Welcome back to Mainstream with Harpreet Singh Toor. Once again, you can write me at hstoor@gmail.com or info@justbroadcasting.com. Like at the beginning, I was talking about the RSS. Let's not forget that RSS, doesn't matter what they say, they never played any role for freedom of India. The biggest role was played by the Punjabis, far bigger than anybody else, or Bengalis, comparatively bigger than rest of India. And the price was paid by both the states by dividing Punjab and Bengal, giving part of Punjab and Bengal to Pakistan, East and West Pakistan. Okay. So now the question is, within RSS, when Savarkar was behind the bars for some things, he actually begged the Britishers to, he called them the MAGA, uh, to, free him. And I'm going to one day, read the book and see what exactly it is. There is, I was looking at this, there was a book written by A.G. Nurani. The name of the book is Savarkar and Hindutva, The God-Say Connection, which was printed in 2002. And so that book actually contains a lot of petitions and everything. And I still have to come across any leader from RSS of that time who really served any time behind the bars, including Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who did not spend even a single day behind the bars. And he, to some extent, we can say that single-handedly created the Pakistan of that time, even though it is not the same what it is today. But at that time, the Pakistan which was created, that's what it was. So now the question comes in, what is happening here in the United States? Okay. Every day there is something new happening. We already see the National Guards. The National Guards were called out in Portland, Oregon. The judge appointed by Trump stopped it. Then the Trump ordered the National Guards from California to come to Portland, Oregon. Same judge stopped that and admonished the administration for not obeying the orders. Like I said at the beginning of the show, that everybody here, Department of Justice, FBI, Department of Defense, these are the major departments in the government. They are just doing what Trump wants them to do. They are playing same song which Trump wants them to play. Supreme Court, it has given a blank check to the Trump. And right now, what is happening is Trump actually has authorized, to bomb the votes from Venezuela and declaring that, okay, it was carrying cocaine or fentanyl, without a single proof. Not a single proof that those boats were private boats or they were actually carrying anything, number one. Number two, even if they were carrying, they were in the international waters, and any country have no right to go into international water and attack other countries' boats unless they are at war, which Trump has already declared indirectly, and now he's planning to declare a war within the United States on the cities and the states which are democratically controlled. And that is the roadmap of the Republicans to rule America into eternity, forever. Okay? So when the elections were happening last year, I am really not happy the way the Democrats ran their campaign. Yeah, they were talking about, this may be the last election, the election may not happen again, but they should have addressed the, the issue of inflation, the price rise and everything. They didn't do it. Now, comparatively, at that time, media was opening every day by mentioning the inflation. Now they are not talking about it because there is a stick on their head from the Trump administration that they cannot talk. Number two, Trump is not releasing the data, whether it is the employment data or it is inflation data. Luckily, the government is shut down and those departments are shut down, the one which are supposed to release these reports or collect the information. Okay? Number three, ICE has a budget which is not even being stopped. Even though the government is shut down, but millions are being spent to have more recruitment for the ICE. What is happening in Chicago is it is going to happen and Portland, it's going to happen in more cities. One thing which I can tell you for sure, that Trump never liked African Americans. He might have, employed the people to do the work, but he never liked them, number one. Number two, even though he's talking about, undocumented people, this and that, he himself employed undocumented people at his properties to do the dirty job. And those dirty jobs are not being done to the extent which they are supposed to do. The farmers, the soybean, China stopped importing soybean after the tariffs. Now they are planning to give another 10 billion with a B to the farmers who actually lost their money because the soybean actually is not being bought by China. Was one of the biggest importer. China started importing from Argentina, and interestingly, Argentina just got bailed out by the United States. Why? Because the Secretary of the Treasury happens to be a friend of the president of Argentina. And also, when they talk about that Venezuela is the biggest exporter of the drugs, it is not true. So what I'm trying to say here is that to retain the power and to stay in power, every tool is being used, whether those are lying about the facts, not releasing the facts, declaring the other person, whosoever it is, he or she, who you are opposing, as the person who are, how should I put it down? You treat them as your enemies, and there is a permanent line being drawn between the Democrats and Republicans, and that line is getting darker and darker by the day, whereas that line actually should be, the people should be getting above that line to understand each other. They were, you guys shop at same places, you go to same grocery stores, you pay same high prices, you pay same thing everywhere, but somehow you just listen to one side and not to the other, which is not good. Whether you are a Democrat and listening only to the Democrats, and if you are a Republican and listening only to the Republican, no, that's not how. Yeah, you can have your own views, you can have your own way, the way you vote, the way you are registered, but it doesn't mean that you should hate your neighbor. It doesn't mean you should hate your fellow human being. But those are the seeds being sown right now, and things are not looking good. I was watching about, that how the people, they, after the Kirk's death, Charlie Kirk's death, how the people, they came out with those huge American flags as if their lives are on the line. Charlie Kirk, the best thing I agreed with him was freedom of speech. And same freedom of speech is being killed by these nutties, if I may say, including Trump and his cronies, that you cannot. And that is the danger for the democracy. That is the danger for the rule of law. US was always called a nation of law-abiding people, from the president all the way down, and from all the way down to the president. It's not there anymore because Supreme Court, which was considered to be a broker between lawlessness and law, they have decided to go with the lawlessness, providing every tool which they can to the sitting president right now. And interestingly, when Joe Biden was the president for 4 years, when he asked for some emergency intervention from the Supreme Court, they ignored it. But when the Trump puts up emergency, it's accepted immediately. And he has done much more, I think more than 20 so far, maybe even more than that. Whereas during the whole 4 years of Trump, it was only, Joe Biden, it was only 4 or 5. Okay. So again, this is a country we live in. This is our country. We love this country. And make sure that you also love your fellow Americans, irrespective of what party they belong in, whatever their faith is, and what they look like. With that note, till next time, good night and good luck.